Aim high, be brave, be bold, and mighty forces will come to your aid. You focus on your work, you keep doing good at it, and even if things are get going wrong, because you were really honest with your work, how my mentors helped me, how my friends and students and everyone helped me during my journey. I That was completely unexpected, right? Because I was true to my work, those things happen. So be brave, aim high, be bold, and mighty things will come to your aid.
When did you realize that you are a creative? Today's guest, Harshanand Singh, knew early on in life that his path revolved around creativity, even if he tried to break from it at one point. Harsh is a concept artist hailing from Pune in India, and in this episode, he reveals an incredible journey he has been on to forge the very career he dreamt of, and the cost of it along the way, as he realized how it was impacting his life. Harsh also shares his spiritual connection with art, both philosophically and practically, and how sacrifice and choice is a key part to an artist's journey, especially when you're striving for mastery. Plenty to unpack and chew on in this episode, so let's go. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Lens Squared podcast. I'm delighted to welcome one very special guest today, Harsh, aka Harshanand Singh. Welcome.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Aaron. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you, and looking forward to speaking with you. Before we get into all the juicy stuff, if you wouldn't mind letting all our guests know who you are, what you do.
Hello, guys. I'm Harshanand Singh. I'm a concept artist, currently working at Nodding Head Games. It's based in Pune. Before this, I was a senior concept artist at Ubisoft. I worked on many uh, video games, movies, music album covers, and a lot of stuff that happens in India. So many paintings for temples and stuff as well.
Oh, sick.
Yeah.
And how long has this journey been, like, I guess, been cultivated for? Like, is this something that you've always wanted to do, or did you fall into this?
I don't remember when I started. I
Nice.
think my family has always been a family of artists. So
Oh, cool.
some of my ancestors were either singers and others were painters. My father used to draw and paint when he was very young, but then
Wow.
shifted to music. So I think that I got that by blood. But and the moment my father saw that, hey, he has picked up, he was very supportive of it. And even if I used to paint or draw something very small, he used to compliment me a lot, and that kept me going. So that's how it
Oh,
started.
wow. That's super cool. I mean, like, in my family at least, there's, on my younger generations, there's definitely
Hmm.
a lot more creativity that is witnessed and being cultivated now. But definitely people older than me and older generations, it was almost non-existent. People
Hmm.
consumed it, but it was never like something they practiced it. So what
Hmm.
was it like growing up in a household where what was that experience like? Or was it like just pencils and pens and paints everywhere all the time, or like
Oh,
what was it? Was it like living in that kind of like environment?
I think because of my grandfather, he was a very good Indian classical singer, and you can Google about him on. His name was Rajkumar Shamanand Singh. Because of that, the inclination was more towards music. So if, as far as I remember, I always used to accompany my father to nearby temples, and he used to sing.
Uh-huh.
And probably that's the influence of that is what you can see in my art as well. Many times, the things that I paint are religious, gods, demons, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So even if I didn't pick music, that influenced my arts, those stories, those songs. Um, and my house was full of books related to music and artworks. So that was something that really helped me at early stage. Also, because I was very young compared to my cousins. So when I was growing up, most of them were studying abroad, or
Mm-hmm.
at least outside the city. So I had to spend a lot of time alone, just going through those books, listening to those music, looking at the um, artworks of my uh, my ancestors and
Uh-huh.
many good painters who came to my place and gifted some stuff to my ancestors.
Hmm.
So I think the environment was very uh, artistically charged,
Yeah.
but I think I never really thought that it will be an occupation. I'll take that as an occupation.
Interesting.
But the entire family had this thing that, hey, it's really good. And compared to the other families around my home, where they usually focus on IAS and IPS, that is Indian Administrative
Right.
Service
Right.
and
Right.
police service. So that's where most of the people in Bihar focus on. My
Uh-huh.
parents were always like, okay, you do whatever you want, and that's very rare from where I come from. So yeah, that's how it was.
Wow. I mean, I totally can relate to that. Um, Being obviously Indian diaspora, it's basically the same kind of mentality. That's why, even though I guess my own journey was more like very similar, like it was just focused, obsessed around
Mm-hmm.
art and everything else as well. My
Mm,
parents, to the point where it was like, it was not encouraged, but like suggested that this is a safer route. But they knew that I wouldn't budge.
mm,
So I was like, okay, let's go.
mm,
But
mm.
everybody else, family, extended family, everything, just everyone in my culture, friends, everybody else, what you just said is almost copy and paste. Like, get
Yeah,
that job. I guess because it's security, right? Like, get that job that's secure,
yeah.
get that job that's proven, where
Mm, mm,
it's almost listed out what is required to achieve, and go ahead and do it because it's safe. I
mm,
totally get
mm.
that. But that's really fascinating to hear.
Also,
Like
I
especially
think
yeah.
sorry. Also,
No,
I
go
think
ahead.
in
Yeah.
places like Bihar, UP, and other states where I think the literacy rate and stuff are still low compared to other
Uh
places,
huh.
and there's a large population who are still trying to make things work. For them, like you mentioned, it's the point of safety is there, and also there's not much exposure compared to what's happening around the world.
Hmm.
So I remember when I was growing up, there was just one, forget concept art, there was just one shop where I used to get paint brushes. And it wasn't like you get paintbrush of 10 number or 12 number, nothing like that. You go there, he has this cardboard, and it's full of small, probably paintbrushes that are not so good, and some that people have discarded
Okay.
and sold it at a cheaper price. And from that, whatever you pick, that's what you get. You don't have
Yeah.
many options there. So art wasn't something that was the, that people looked at as occupation. But like I said, other than safety, exposure was another thing. All this world of concept art, I think I didn't even know about it till I reached 11th or 12th.
Hmm. And you mentioned obviously a second ago as well, like you didn't think that this could possibly be a profession or something to pursue,
Yeah.
considering obviously like you've had generations in your family that have done that. Why
Hmm.
was that?
So uh, I think my ancestors, they took art very seriously, not in a profession kind of way, but my grandfather believed that it's the art, music, and painting or drawing, whatever you call it. It it's like a it's very spiritual, religious.
Mm-hmm.
It comes from the God, and you should consider this as what as if you are always learning it. You are
Mm.
doing it to be better and better and better at it. So they believe the moment you make it a profession, you lose something out of it. So the
Mm.
example my grandfather used to put is that earlier there were really good mangoes and lychees. The moment people started business of it, they start putting fertilizers, carbide,
Mm.
just to make things sell better. And
Yes.
that, because of that, there are not many good mangoes and lychees now.
Mm-hmm.
So in my family, art and music, it was always something that people loved, but they didn't want to make a profession out of it.
Mm. And what were you considering at that time then? Like, did you have like a backup or a side strategy where it was like, okay, like I'm assuming as well, and you can explain it obviously
Hmm.
yourself more clearly, but I'm assuming that no matter what, like art was always going to be with you, whether you were going to become an
Yes.
engineer or something else, like that was something you're going to do.
Yeah.
So what was that kind of like backup thing then? Did you have a backup that you're pursuing that possibly could be that professional route?
So I think for me, art was backup, but it was. So I was thinking that probably I will do an MBA like my cousins.
Mm-hmm.
Most of them are businessmen. So I was thinking
Mm-hmm.
I'll pursue that route. But art was something that I was always doing side by side. And with time, I realized that okay, I'm slightly better than the people around me,
Mm.
which kind of so the more you get compliments, the more motivated you are to do those things, right? You
Mm.
start feeling okay, this is where say I'm winning, so you put more effort towards that. So no matter what my initial focus was, MBA, I was still always doing this side by side. One major thing, I think, when I was in 11th, that's when I started having this feeling that maybe this is something that I can take. And that at that point, when my grades were really good in 10th, so everyone was expecting that I'll probably pick science, because that's what people
Mm.
do. When you get more than 90% in India, they think that okay, probably you will take science. But at that point, I thought, okay, if I take science, and by what I have heard, I probably won't get time to spend on my art, and I didn't wanna leave it. I was it it felt good whenever I created something, and I didn't want to let go of that feeling. So I intentionally picked commerce at that point, and thought okay, it's going to be easy, which is not true. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
don't think any one department is easier than other, but that's what my thought process at that point was. That probably I'll be able to put some time towards my art as well. That was, I think, one big decision that kind of shaped my life ahead. And then there were few of my friends in I was doing my 11th and 12th from Kolkata, which is a bigger city compared to where I come from,
Mm-hmm.
and people there had knowledge about animation, concept art. They were thinking of these fields as profession, and that
Mm-hmm.
was very new to me. And there was a friend of mine, Arib Hussain. He really wanted to do it. So he told me that hey, you are good at it. There's a institute named DSK Supinfocom, Supinfo Game. Why don't you give it a try? And I wasn't sure, but I tried, and I got in. And then I realized, okay, maybe this can be a way.
Yes.
So
Wow. And when you mentioned like 11th and 12th, what age is that?
I
That's
think
like the
around
grade, right?
15, yeah,
Okay, cool. So that's
after
like the
10th. So
yeah, in here, like that would be
yeah.
like the final years of high school for us over here. And I can totally relate to you. Like for myself, it was a shame because for me, there was two things I really wanted to do. Well, obviously one was art, and we had to choose subjects at a certain point. And the other one that I was sort of quite good at as well, or had like I guess I wasn't definitely bad at it. Was design technology, which I always thought like is the
Mm,
same kind
mm,
of thing. And like in the end, my stories ended up doing like the industrial design route, which is kind of both combined. But I had to choose between one or the
yes.
other, which was a shame. Like I couldn't just say this is definitely me. These both are perfectly for me. Let me do both. Their rigid structure insisted that I had to choose one or the other, which is that's their system. It's fair
Yes.
enough. And yeah, I totally can relate to you as a case of making like getting being told to choose and end up choosing the one
Mm,
that I knew that I'm not getting rid of that. I had to sacrifice one or
mm,
the other. So
yeah.
yeah, I can totally relate to you in that regard.
And like you said, that two things that you liked and your the direction that you take, you it combined it. For me, it was similar in that way that I like gaming, so and art. So video games is the direction that probably I thought, okay, if I take that route, I'll be happier
Mm,
compared to animation, which was very famous at that point in India.
hmm.
If there's anything digital, you talk to anyone, even people in villages, they will know what animation is. They don't know
Okay.
anything else, they just know
Yeah.
animation. So
Fair enough.
that's
Fair enough.
how we started with animation. But then I realized, okay, probably I like video games more. So,
Mm.
and art. So why not video game art?
Fascinating. And so like you seem to have like a similar journey to myself where I guess the path wasn't particularly super clear at that point in
Hmm.
time, especially like, you know, when
Yes.
you're graduating high school and stuff. So what was your mindset like at the time? Like, was it a case of not necessarily, I guess, confusion, or was it just a case of trying to figure out what's going on? Or did you kind of know where you wanted to go and you were just trying to find things that matched and aligned with you?
Hmm. I think at a very early age, I started having this feeling that regardless of which field I pick, I want to excel at it, because I had this thing that I want to make my parents proud. The
Mm-hmm.
usual Indian child stuff. So the moment I picked, say, this route that I'll study in DSK Supinfocom and I'll take this, uh, although there was confusion, one thing that I was very clear about is I have to do good in it because I want
Mm-hmm.
my parents to feel proud of.
Mm-hmm.
And my initial experience there was, I remember my first assignment. The full marks was 20, and like I said, we didn't have that much exposure from in Purnia, Bihar, the place I come from. So, and I was supposed to do a digital assignment, and it was probably the first time I was using Photoshop. So I was good at drawing, I was good at painting traditionally, but that
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean you will pick up the digital stuff immediately,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I remember I got 8 out of 20, which is you failed, okay?
Yeah.
And that shook me. Like, okay, what happened? Uh, it was very chaotic, and this, if I go on this route, I don't want to fail. What will my parents think? And I don't mean that as kind of a pressure or something. Like I said, it was kind of a positive motivation for me always.
Uh-huh.
So I was thinking, okay, I need to do good because if I do good, I'll probably get a scholarship, which will take care of the fees.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but for that, I had to be topper of the class.
Mm.
So for the next 2 months, I worked really hard, and the first exam, I was the topper of the class, and I got scholarship.
Sick.
So for me, my making my parents proud was always the motivating factor, no matter which
Mm-hmm.
field I pick, no matter how confused I'm in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's a driving force in your life, no matter what it is, that emotion, you keep it inside you like fire and fuel, and keep using it to uh, push yourself further.
Mm-hmm. I think that's quite powerful, especially. I mean, like you use it basically to help, I guess, cope with the disappointment, or at least react to it, and to navigate to a better result. Um, have you? Do you still have that? Like, is that still a motivating factor for you even today?
Yes.
Like, is that still the core of you? I
Yeah.
guess, like when you call directives.
That's yeah, that's still there.
Sick.
So
That's really good.
I think as kids we have very big dreams, and the moment, like, going forward in life, we feel that okay, probably this is not possible, and you let go of some of those dreams. But over time, when a lot of stuff happened, like COVID and all this stuff happened, and I realized how fragile our life is, then it's like, okay, there's a timer on.
Mm-hmm.
I had these dreams that I let go of, but there
Mm.
are some of those I still feel that's possible, and I
Mm-hmm.
still want to do it. So that still fuels me.
Sick. Um, definitely speaking my tune in that regard about, I guess, like sacrifice
Hmm.
and um almost letting things go just to ensure that you can still pursue something. Is that how it was for
Yes,
you? Like,
yes.
would
I
you
think
mind like talking a
if
little bit more into that?
yeah. So I over time I realize if you are doing 10 things, and you will probably not be able to do it that well. You let go of 2 things out of those, and you're focused on 8 things. You will do a bit better. So you
Mm-hmm.
keep getting rid of things that are not that important, so you can really focus on stuff that
Mm.
you really want to do, and that way you will be able to do better at it. And
Mm-hmm.
as concept artists and as artists, I think all of us go through that journey. When initially, when we are drawing and painting, we like to do everything. We want to do everything. We see another artist posting something, and okay, that's something like I want to do as well. And you paint that. After a few months, you are focusing on something else, and we keep running from here and there. Then
Mm-hmm.
over time, you realize, okay, you can't do everything. Let's focus on this particular path, and let's
Mm-hmm.
keep going forward with it. You can
Mm.
definitely take breaks just to have fun, learn a few new things, and uh, even if it's completely unrelated, any experience that you have in life, it adds to your learnings that will help you
Mm-hmm.
in your main path. But the quicker you take decisions about what you want to pursue, you will do better at it
Mm.
compared to focusing on say 10 things or 5 or 6 things at a time. Less things you focus on, better your focus will be.
Mm. Is that something that you've had to learn to do over time, or have you always been like that? Have you always been? And actually, no. A better question is,
Hmm.
when you had to sacrifice those things, was it a simple decision, or did it pain you to let those things go?
Oh, it definitely pains.
Mm.
Because, like I said, my family always had this inclination towards music. So my first sacrifice was, and I was good at music as well, from at school level, and it was something I enjoyed doing. So the first sacrifice was between painting and music,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was very confused. My father sings really well, so I want to do that as well. But then I think I think when I was 12 or 13 years old, I was at home for summer vacation, and my father told me that it's good that you're doing good in this and that as well. I won't tell you to pick this, but I would say that you focus on one thing, because
Mm.
I think when my grandfather was very close to his death, he was having this conversation with my father, and he said that he did good in a lot of things. He was a really good billiards player. He was
Mm-hmm.
At that time people used to hunt, so he was good at that as well.
Mm-hmm.
He was very good at football. He was very good at music. He was very
Mm-hmm.
good at driving. So, but he said that if I had focused just on music, I could have done much better, and that was his regret. And my father didn't want me to have that, so he said, pick one. And that was the initial sacrifice. And as I kept going, even in art, there's so many fields, right? You can paint in this way, you can sculpt something, and it's like you constantly have to sacrifice things like that. Even now, I have this really strong urge to sculpt something, and not
Mm-hmm.
ZBrush way, probably doing it out of clay.
Yeah.
And because of work, I'm not able to do that.
Yeah.
So I was so good at traditional painting. I sometimes still do it at during weekends, but I always have this urge to do more there. And similarly, there are so many things in art that I constantly have to sacrifice in order to do better in the thing that I want to do, probably, which is concept art. And slowly slowly moving towards more towards character and creature design.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think you will have to do that throughout your life, but in the end that serves a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel that if you're doing something for a really long time, it's good to have breaks, and it definitely pays off. You take a break, experience something new, the things that you learn there, it helps your main field. So whenever I go back to painting things in oil, I learn few things about shapes, values. It removes some clutter from my head, and the moment I come back to digital painting, I feel okay, I have learned something new, and it's making my life easier because of it.
Mm. And so, was music that thing, a specific thing, or was that one of the big things that you had to
That was
kind of
one of the
like
initial
let
things,
loose?
but right now it's just different things from art that I constantly have to
Nice.
sacrifice
Okay.
just in order to do the thing that I want to do.
Oh yeah, for sure. Again, I can relate to on many levels in that regard, particularly like say in the creative field as well. Yeah, like you just said, like you can. It's like peeling an onion, right? You peel the outer layer, and that might be the obvious difference. Like say
Hmm.
music, for example, which is like it's like a different. I'm sure you'd agree as well. Like they definitely come from the same tree, like different fruits from the same tree. Like they have the
Hmm.
same they got the same soul, the way I see
Hmm.
it. But obviously,
Hmm.
they're different disciplines. They use different
Yes.
tools and everything.
Yeah.
But the fundamentals are very almost blurry.
Yeah.
Yes, they're distinct, but for me, they're also like. But I love music too. I'm more like I don't have to play an instrument.
Hmm.
I'd love to, but I'm more like I learned it by accident by digital softwares, and then as a result, I just understood that like, wow, this is definitely a thing.
Hmm.
Um, but then obviously, like I said, with art, like yeah, you can okay, yeah, I want to draw pictures, for example, or make imagery. Then you realize,
Hmm.
okay, the what specific thing? There's like you said, like there's different. It's almost like a fractal thing. Like you keep zooming in, and
Yeah.
then there's more specificity, there's more precision in
Yes.
certain things, and more craft. And there's something that's stuck with me as well, and it very much is very similar to the words of your father, the words of your grandfather as well. Linked to what we was talking about before we started recording was cricket, and obviously Sachin Tendulkar is a legend
Yeah.
across the world of cricket, obviously in India as well, and one of the greatest batsmen ever, one of the greatest athletes ever. Obviously, growing up, it was just cool to see that. Someone
Hmm.
that looked like you, it was cool to see that as well. That was also a bit of sense of pride, also. But I remember specifically what one commentator said. It's a throwaway comment, but it burnt itself into my brain. And this is when I saw him bowling. Like I think he was like he used to do bowl as well. Like he used to do some overs as a side to batting. He's
Hmm.
like a record holder. Like he's
Hmm.
elite. He's like, if you watch football, he's like Lionel Messi level. And I remember, I think the commentator was telling a tale about him, saying that he loves bowling. Obviously, he was doing it, but he was advised, like yourself was said, that, and this is a guy who's hit the, at least from our eyes, hit the
Yeah.
level, hit the top level, the
Yes.
highest of black belts you can get. And even then, he was told, like, pick one because you're going to need to dedicate everything for one of the disciplines. And I know, like, in cricket, you have all rounders that can do, like, a generalist artist, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
But even then, like, a guy who has almost got 100 out of 100 and every single thing he could do still had to sacrifice. And that was something that
True.
always stuck with me. And when you just mentioned it then, it kind of brought that back up. So I just
Hmm.
wanted to say, like, yeah, it's very, very wise words and a very important lesson. Now, with that said, having made these, like, I guess, adjustments and I guess honed in on specific avenues, has that helped and how much has it helped?
Hmm. I I think because of that, I was okay. I'll put it this way. Um, it's like you are hitting an iron 5 times today, and then you leave it like that, and then you come back at it again. You heat that iron again. You hit it with hammer, and you leave it again. That's if you are trying to make a sword out of it. It will take a long time. But if you're consistent with it, if you're hitting it, then hitting it again, hitting it again, you will be able to shape that much faster, and probably the shape that will come out of it is will be much better. So I think because of getting rid of all that clutter, uh, you can really put daily effort into the stuff that you want to be good at, and that really helps. For example, uh, while working for these many different studios, many times uh, I probably wanted to do more of cat and creatures, but I was good at environment as well, and that is what, say, one of the previous projects wanted me to do, and I was doing that for a long time. I was doing good at it. Everyone appreciated it, uh, but because of that, I couldn't be good at, say, creature design uh, that fast, which I could have if I would have started working on that daily. So
Mm-hmm.
it stuck to me that I'm spending 8 hours into something. If I would be doing 8 hours, I would be spending that much time into something that I really want to do. I'll probably do better at it, and I'll probably reach there faster. So the moment I get rid of all these clutters and take my life decisions based on that, I was able to put daily efforts in that direction, and that
Mm-hmm.
really helped.
Mm-hmm.
So when you are putting that much effort into the field that you want every day, you
Mm-hmm.
won't find, you won't have eureka moment every day, but it's gonna happen. You won't happen. It won't happen in the first day. For me, uh, I think if, say, I wanted to learn ZBrush at a time, and I made something out of it, painted over it, and the artwork looked okay. It's not that great. I did that again. I did that again. I
Mm-hmm.
probably seventh or eighth time. Then I felt okay. All that hard work finally paid off. I found something that I was looking for. So even if you look at my art station or online stuff, you will see that there's a pattern. So for example, there was a time when I was doing a lot of dark stuff. So Princes of Hell series, I was making different demons uh,
Mm-hmm.
based on Christianity, and my my focus there was I want to improve my values. So
Mm-hmm.
I made one artwork, okay, good. Second, okay, good. Third, getting better. And by the time I reached seventh, I realized, okay, I have learned something, and this will be there with me throughout my life. Then I shifted to something else. Then my focus was, I want to be better at doing 3D. But my focus is now I am going to do 7 archangels using ZBrush. And
Mm-hmm.
by the time I'm done with my seventh artwork, I have really mastered, like, not mastered, you keep doing that throughout your life,
Sure,
but
sure. I
I
know
have
what you mean,
learned
though. Yeah,
something. Yeah.
yeah.
I have learned something that can be part of my workflow for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So, because of all the clutter that I removed, I was able to do this.
Mm-hmm.
You will always have these distractions, and you will always have this urge to, okay, I want to do that, I want to do that. And you will keep shifting from here to there. For example, when I think before the call I was talking to you, and so Pune, the place where I live right now, and Mumbai is close.
Mm-hmm.
There are many different paths that you can take to reach Mumbai, probably 3 or 4 of them. But say I feel, okay, I need to go to Mumbai, I'll take this path, but I see there's a small shortcut. I go to that path, and then I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, there's a temple nearby. Probably I can go there, and from there, okay,
Mm-hmm.
there's a river nearby. I'll go that way, and then I'll probably not reach Mumbai anytime soon. It will take a lot of time, and probably I might get lost in the way as well. So the faster you set up a goal that, hey, I have to reach Mumbai, and you take pick roads accordingly, the faster you will reach there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the easier the journey will be for you as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, uh, I understood that it's painful. The sacrifices are painful, but it's also necessary for you in order to get where you want to be.
Mm-hmm. And would you say, but that was that like because you had that particular goal, right? Or was
Hmm.
it almost at a point where you were, I guess, stretched, where you knew that okay, like you said, like you're doing making all these swords, but you're going back every 5 days to each sword to heat it
Hmm.
up, and none of them are getting made. Was that what it
Yes.
was like for you, or was it more like, no, I need to do a specific thing, and I have to hunt for that?
No, I wasn't very sure about what I want to do,
Mm-hmm.
but I realized that maybe I'm deviating a lot and I'm not getting anywhere.
Mm.
So I wasn't. I think I learned everything the hard way, and spend a lot of time doing something, and then jump to something else and did that for a long time. And then I realized, okay, I'm not getting anywhere compared to, say, my colleagues or people in the industry. How, and I have seen people uh, starting after me, and then they reach at a particular level very fast. They're like, okay, what am I doing wrong? I'm definitely working hard. I'm definitely
Mm-hmm.
putting that many hours per day, but I'm not getting there. Then it's like, okay, I'm not focused, and you need that focus to be there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I learned it the hard way, but I realized that sacrifices are necessary, and
Yes.
the more focused you are, the better it is. But that
Mm.
doesn't mean that you shouldn't try new things. You shouldn't try different things. I think everything in this world is, you can take lessons from anything.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, uh, so my wife is more of a businessman. So if you think about that, these are so different. These fields are so different. But sometimes when I'm talking to her, she talks about some of her life experiences, and that gives me a few ideas that can help me in art.
Mm-hmm.
So inspiration, lessons will come can come from anywhere. You have to be
Yes.
receptive to take it.
Yes. Yes. No, totally true. And I guess like another point as well, like you had to do all those things or be compelled to do all those things to realize
Yes.
what you needed to focus on as well, because you could equally have began with that specific thing.
Yeah.
Do you think so? So that specific thing, just to clarify, what is your focus right now? Like, what is that overall primary mission that you have?
Right now, I want to get more good at organic stuff. So
Hmm.
cactus and creatures. I realized that I put so much time into this field, and I had the luxury of learning from really good artists. Aditya Chari, he's really good at human anatomy, and
Hmm.
he was one of my really important mentors who shaped my art journey. And
Mm.
for a long time, I realized, okay, I learned all that. It was a very rare opportunity. He put that much gave me that much personal attention and time, and I didn't use it. All that skill is just lying there. And then I realized, okay, I had similar incidents in life, which was I got this rare thing that that most of the people are not getting. Why don't I capitalize on that?
Mm-hmm.
And then I thought, okay, whenever I'm sketching that, I really enjoy it. Probably because I have already put that many hours into it, so it's easier to do.
Mm-hmm.
Then I realized, okay, then probably this is the path where I want to take now. So initially it was easier in life. So for example, when I gave example of art and music, because there are other people telling you about it, but as you keep going forward, it becomes very difficult because at that time no one else is going to tell you, hey, this is, you can take this, you can take this or that. You always have to
Mm-hmm.
dig into yourself, really calm your head and think, okay, what is it that you want to do on. So the decisions are always getting more tougher and tougher and tougher, what you want to sacrifice and what
Mm-hmm.
you want to move forward with.
And so let's say you did that almost at the beginning
Hmm.
and not experience all the other things that you have.
Hmm.
Obviously, it's all hindsight. It's all, like speculation. We don't really know
Yes.
until you go
Yeah.
through the journey. But let's pretend that we can. And do you think you'd be hyper focused now and be in the same place, or do you think you'd have that longing or that yearning for those other things?
Hmm. Okay, that's difficult to answer, but I feel I would definitely be more focused, better at say character creature design at this point. But I would have missed out all the other experiences that I had. Like I said, a lot of lessons came from my failures as well,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel that also shaped uh, what I am now. So I don't regret how things happened in the life so far, but going forward, I always make this constant effort to decide and make sacrifices, take decisions, really
Mm-hmm.
be focused on into one field. If for someone who is just starting out, I would just say that don't take aggressive decisions. Like, okay, I
Mm-hmm.
really need to focus this and get rid of everything, because you are just starting out. You don't know uh, probably what you will be good at, but always keep observing what
Mm-hmm.
feels like second nature to you, what comes out easier, what you really enjoy doing. And more uh, more than observing others what they are doing on social media, spend more time observing yourself,
Mm-hmm.
observing what you really enjoy doing. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you're not enjoying it, how is this different than any other field?
Mm-hmm.
You picked this field because you liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it was money, you could have earned a lot of money taking other fields. So I would say that this thing that, and if you're enjoying it, it won't be as stressful to you as others. I remember when I was in college and going forward, there were so many colleagues who were in the same field, but they couldn't handle the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
For them, it was pressure. For me, it was fun because I was really enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be better at it. So I think self observation, that's very necessary. Your body, your senses, even your paintings, they tell you things if you are willing to learn from it. And I think if you take decisions that way, I feel, and I'm not an expert, I'm still learning, but so far I think that might be leading you towards, say, where you will be best at and you will enjoy doing, you'll be happier in life that way.
Mm-hmm. No, beautifully put. And I can relate to you in a lot of things that you've just said as well. One of those is particularly the enjoyment side of things as well. And I remember at a certain point, especially more towards uni, where I came to a conclusion at that point in time that I had to sacrifice that enjoyment in order to be successful, I guess.
Yes.
Ultimately, that enjoyment did not allow me to sacrifice it. It was too strong, and ultimately, I learned to kind of like listen to it. By the way, with that said, in my journey, I've had many jobs that were not creative. I've learned a lot of things in those, met some great people, but they were also a constant reminder of not being able to enjoy what I want to enjoy.
Mm.
And yeah, I don't want to do those jobs again. I definitely don't want
Yes.
to. But at the same time, I had a lot of life lessons in those. But what I'm trying to get is like more so the enjoyment aspect of it. Like it was just something that was there. Now
Yes.
you mentioned there, fellow students and fellow colleagues, fellow artists that couldn't handle the pressure. Like, what particularly did you notice, and what kind of pressure was it?
Um, I think from as even as a student, so starting with very basic stuff when I was in art college, and
Yeah.
I dropped out in order to be better. Um, at that time, say the mentor comes and he tells you to do say 100 sketches in a day or 200 sketches in a day, and next day he's telling you to do that again and again and again. So we started say with a batch of 40 people, and at the end only 12 survived. And for and I remember there were many times when my colleagues used my fellow students, they used to come to me and tell me, Harsh, please calm down, you if you finish it, everyone else will be in trouble. And I was at a very, how do you say, difficult pos- uh, I was at a very difficult position at moments like that. It's like, okay, but eventually, just because you don't want to work, why should I stop working?
Hmm.
Right? I understand that you will be in trouble and you don't. And if I'd listened to those guys, I would probably not be as good at artist as I am now. I'm not really good, but whatever I am, I wouldn't have been there. Those most of those people ended up leaving college anyway, and they are
Hmm.
not even in the industry right now.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's how it started in college. Going forward, even in the industry, that happens
Hmm.
because it's not. I think in video gaming and movies, when you're doing concept and all, the pressure varies. It goes up and down, up and down. Initially, it's very relaxed. You are doing many concepts and you are getting many days for it. Probably 1 week, 2 week, God knows how many, because you're exploring stuff. But there are also moments when you have to churn out 2 or 3 pieces in a day, and all that probably people will see. So you still have to be able to perform in situations like that, which is not possible for everyone, especially not for
Hmm.
those people who are not enjoying it.
Hmm.
At the end of the day, if you were doing it for money, then you start feeling like, okay, probably after all this stuff, I'm not getting that good a hike. Why am I putting that much effort? I'm putting 12 hours into this. I'm not earning that much. Probably I could have done better if I was a doctor. And then
Hmm.
even your family starts saying you stuff, like your friends start pointing out, oh, look at that guy, he's still stuck in the office, and then you leave. So that happens because if you don't love it, you will always find a reason for not continuing with it.
Hmm.
But if you love doing it, it's the stressful situations will still be stressful, but it's slightly going to be easier.
Hmm. Yeah,
So
that's something I've noticed too. Like,
yeah.
and just comparing a non-creative job to a creative job,
Mm,
and even when like definitely in the creative job, like the stress has been way more intense at a higher level than the one that was not a creative job. For some reason, that non-creative job, which is the one that I didn't enjoy so much,
mm,
that stress felt 100 times more painful
yes.
than the one where I was enjoying it, but the stress was actually maybe way more intense as well. And
Mm,
that's something that I've through other people as well, like yourself, and just through my own journey, is that enjoyment aspect. Like when I guess once you if you know like when you know you're doing something that you enjoy,
mm,
it's a language that you understand almost immediately
yes.
because the rewards are you can only know if you're doing it.
Mm,
And I guess also if you do something where you don't enjoy it, you can definitely qualify either one and you can contrast them because you only know something's dark until you put something light next to it, for example. So you need
exactly.
that contrasting thing.
Yes, and like
Um,
you mentioned,
mhm.
the learnings become easy as well. If you're enjoying it,
Yes,
you learn things faster. And if you're really stressed about it, you don't want to do it, you won't learn. You won't learning anything from it.
yes. But with that said, though, like yourself, like I can definitely read and understand clearly your passion for what you do. Like it's a language, like I just said, like I understand. Um, for myself, though, like there's been many years on my journey where the obsession for it, and I say obsession in a negative sense because it's one of those things, like it's like a spicy flavor, right? Like obviously
Yeah.
we love our spice, but it can get too spicy sometimes,
Mm.
or sometimes not enough.
Yeah.
And obsession is one of those things, and to the point where now I've got, like, say, physical problems because of like my shoulders from drawing too much and
Yeah.
not really understanding that I need to stretch things out or just prevent things, and even physical side of things, mental health, all that kind of stuff. Like I've almost put myself to breaking point,
Yeah.
or because this thing that's supposed to be something that's a form of enjoyment.
Mm. Mm.
What have you had anything like that in your journey,
Yes.
like where you've put yourself to breaking point, and what was that like?
Yeah, I think because of how stuff was a few years from now, and I think a lot of it came from many institutes as well, who, and they were doing it for a good purpose. They wanted to put students, saying that if, and there were literal calculations like, if you're working 8 hour a day today, 8 hour a day tomorrow, 8 hour a day after that, you have these many hours of lead compared to some guy who is doing 2 hours of work today and stuff like
Mm.
that. And I think we, because we are pretty much of the same age, we all grew up like that. No matter what was happened, we are passionate about it, but we really we put everything that we could. And I did that for years. And like I said, I don't realize things immediately. Even though I try to observe myself, I learn things the hard way. I realized that, okay, it's harming me in ways when my health started suffering because of it. I was getting less sleep for many years, and then I felt, okay, uh, it's affecting my mood, it's affecting my health, and if I go on in this way, probably eventually it will affect the stuff that I want to do as well. So in the end, it will end up harming me. If my health is not good, how will I draw? Right? Because there was a train of mine. He was like this, and he stayed like this for years. And then he had some issues with his hand bones, and now he wasn't able to draw for months. And I was like, okay, I don't want me to go through that, because
Hmm.
if tomorrow I'm not able to draw, man, I don't want that. I don't want to be in that situation. Then I realized, okay, cool. It's also important to take breaks. It take breaks, go to different places, take experiences, look around you, look around. When you say, for example, when you travel, you look at the values there. You don't always have to draw to learn things. It's not that while your pencil is moving, or while your the tablet pen is moving, that's only when you learn. You just relax and observe. You learn that way as well. So it's like instead of putting 100% of that time rubbing something on paper, you can learn things differently. You can
Hmm.
listen to someone talk. You can like what you guys are doing. But I'm pretty sure many students have benefited from podcasts. Many people learn watching Fenzu do videos, character, creatures, environments, and so you don't have to stop learning. But like I say, it's not just that hectic putting your head down and just rubbing some your pencil paper or pen on the pen on paper, and that's what is going to make you better. So I think if you are stressing yourself to that limit, that your health starts suffering, you will end up harming yourself and the stuff that you like. If you like drawing, you
Hmm.
will probably not be able to do that for long.
Hmm.
So take care of your health, take care of your mental sanity. Don't spoil your family relations. And like, obviously, I'm not saying that you should go and party around. Keep things balanced, because if you're not giving time to people you love, they might not be there tomorrow.
Hmm.
And at, say, when you're 70 years of age, at that time you're good at art, but you are missing those people. You don't want to
Hmm.
be into that situation. So
Hmm.
at every point, like I said, you observe and you learn from it. You observe yourself, you observe things around you. At this point, you feel, okay, what's better for me in the long term?
Hmm.
If going to this, if meeting this relative of mine is gonna harm my art, harm my career, and my life ahead, probably I'll sketch. But if there's some rare opportunity that I'm meeting this cousin of mine after, say, 14 years, and if I don't meet him now, and I don't know when I will meet him. So at that point, I take a break, I meet him, because that's experience, and those experiences make your life. Art can be probably your most important part of your life, but it's not everything.
Hmm.
It's art. Your life is full of experiences. Art might be the most important one, but uh, get as many happy moments as you can, but in a balanced way, so that you don't regret your decisions later.
Hmm. Very wise. And because there's definitely like people who are probably going for that right now as they're listening and have gone through it, come out of it, or are slowly maybe heading back towards that again. Because it's like you said, there's always a cycle, there's always an up and down, it's a perpetual
Mm,
motion of this thing.
mm,
And it's just one of those things, like, it's always cyclical. But for yourself, when and the way you describe it, I think, is a very great way to explain it. Like, take time to observe yourself, like the same way you observe the subject of a painting or a design, whatever it might be. You take time for that research phase, observe it, really understand your subject matter before you start solving that problem
mm,
or interpreting how you want to interpret it. And for me, it was quite late where I actually really actually looked at myself, what I am, who I am, what I do, and all those kind of things, and then really see, oh, well, clearly there's an issue there and there's an issue there. Oh,
mm,
that's a win. You're not leaning into that enough.
mm.
What was that moment for you, or is that something that you've done constantly throughout your life?
Yeah, I say that I have done that constantly.
Nice.
It I learned, like I said, I learned things the hard way, running here and there. But whenever going in this direction for years, I started having regrets, many regrets in life. So it's all like, okay, probably I would have done that. I would have spent that much time with that person. Now he's gone because of COVID
Mm-hmm.
or something else. And you always have that. But all the lessons that you have taken from your life till this point, if you discard everything, similar things are going to happen in the future. The universe is going to put you in that situation again and again and again until you learn. So if, like I said, if you're not observing yourself, if you're not learning from your past experiences, and not just learn from your personal experiences, learn from experiences of people around you. You observe what things are happening to those guys and what happened. Calm down your head, pull everything in, and make decisions accordingly. And
Mm-hmm.
like I said, because I started feeling that I have many regrets in life, and if I keep going down this path, I'll probably not be happy. And I don't want that life. I really enjoy doing art and painting. That is what keeps me happy. But there are other things in life as well. So based on your personal experiences, you take lessons from them and shape your future. Try to shape your future that way. Its
Mm-hmm.
future is very unpredictable, but you can take decisions and see how those decisions affect your life, and those again will be new learnings from you, and you keep doing that throughout your life, trying to make your
Mm-hmm.
life better. You don't have complete control over it, but you try to do your best.
Mm. Your relationship or your acknowledgement of regret. If you don't mind me asking, how old are you right now?
I'm 31.
Cool. When did the, I guess, the theme of regret enter your life?
um
How,
Probably at
has it always been there?
no I think student era. When I was a student, I think from that point onwards things started happening. um I left home when I was probably 8 or 9 years old. So that's when I was sent to boarding school, and we got really few leaves. So like I said, my making my family proud was a very big motivation for me, and that kept me going. And I was really
Mm-hmm.
doing good at school and everything. But as I kept going forward, I kept losing really important family members, and that started putting me, okay, I miss that grandfather of mine. So my my grandfather had 5 or 6 brothers, and I really wanted to spend time with those people, and that couldn't happen because you move outside your city and then you spend time learning, which is important, but then you thought, okay, probably I could have given him more time.
Mm-hmm.
And especially in situations where even in college when there were summer vacations and stuff, I spent all that time painting, drawing, learning more, trying to do more internships so that I can get better and better and better. And I don't regret those decisions. Those decisions made me what I am today. But I I regret those times when, okay, probably one day that couldn't have made that much of a difference. I could have met that person. I don't have to put like blinders around my near my eyes and just run in that direction. Uh, we are not robots. We are not meant for one purpose. So I think that's how it started, and a lot of that happened during COVID era and
Mm-hmm.
other phases as well. I was not really an emotional guy growing up. I I was more always more focused about what I wanted to do, and there were many friends that really loved me, and I never really paid that much attention to them, and now I don't know where they are, and I feel okay. Probably I could have given him a bit of time, and
Mm-hmm.
because right now time is what gives you everything, but and that's how we all artists we try to tend put all of that into art. But what I felt is uh, what we miss in situations like this is our own learnings from those experiences. I remember when something good happened to me in my life, I was listening to happy songs and painting along with it, and that created something good. When something bad happened to me in life, I was listening to then sad songs and painting something with it. So experiences and emotions are very important as art. We are not machines. That's what separates us from AI and other things. Is we tend to create things based on what we have felt, what we have learned, and if we get rid of all that and just keep churning out art pieces, I think machine will do much better job compared to humans on that front. So how are you different?
Mm-hmm.
It's that emotion what you can bring in through your work, which probably uh, it will take machines a long time to learn.
Mm-hmm. What has been your, obviously that's definitely like I can tell your philosophy regarding, I guess, the impact of AI, and just more so because like for myself it definitely locked in what I want to achieve as an artist and what I find more precious and more have more value.
Hmm.
And I've been in jobs where it's all about productivity. It's all
Yes.
about like what you just mentioned, those things.
Hmm.
That it does not care one bit
Yeah.
whether you put any energy, soul, or anything like that into it. It's just about
Yes.
results, 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 results. And it's a good learning experience. I guess I would recommend it for people just to experience,
Hmm.
but I wouldn't recommend people to live in that type
Yes.
of way.
Exactly.
So yeah, like all the AI stuff, like whatever it does, whatever it can be, that's out of my control. But I can control what I intend
Hmm.
to do.
Yeah.
How has that been for you? Like, did you have a when it came along? Obviously, like a couple of years after COVID, which was already like people trying to still recover from, or did so quite either quickly or quite lately. Then AI comes along and has this kind of level of disruption as well.
Yeah.
What was that whole experience like for yourself?
COVID and AI.
I guess more so AI.
Uh, Initially, I was surprised. I was like, okay, how is this happening? And then
Yeah.
the way it started improving. My first experience was okay, they are creating some stuff, but still flawed. And within months, it started creating stuff like, my God, it took me so many years to learn to do all that stuff. And it's for um people now, it's just put some words and it creates something and it takes care of everything. It takes care of values, lighting, shapes. So the AI stuff started looking like many artists' work, which is something as artists we try to do. We try to learn. Hey, I like that artist. I like this thing in that artist's work. I want to learn how he did that. And Uh, but then it was a shock. It was again a phase for me to really observe what was going on, really think, okay, how things are going to go forward. Obviously, people were also scared about jobs, but then um, I realized that maybe uh, if people keep competing only on the basis of how good their render is, they won't be able to compete. But what I have observed, and I tried Mid Journey, I tested, okay, what can it create? And at least at this point, I wanted to create a creature specifically what I wanted. The size of the head should be this much, size of the body should be this much, legs should be this big, and it couldn't do it. The stuff that it was creating, it was very mediocre. It was a good render, but it wasn't a good design. Those human decisions were still missing. I don't know, the way it's improving, maybe it will catch up on that as well. But at least I'm happy that it's not uh, able to do that. But uh, I think we cannot completely think of it as a negative thing, because during, say, industrialization and colonial eras, when factories started coming up, there were so many weavers who were creating things by hand. There was such it was such an art thing, right? And India was famous because of it. What happened? Many of them lost their jobs. It's gonna happen. I mean, hopefully, I don't know how it's gonna be, but um usually things like this happen. Technology comes, and a lot of people who were probably at the bottom or mid level, they lose their jobs. But the people on the top who were really famous for that stuff, they they kind of start having that. How do you put it? Um, it becomes that special thing. I'm missing that word. Uh, people start considering them as luxurious goods,
Hmm. Hmm.
right? So
Yeah, I know what you
if
mean.
you're if you're on top of that, maybe things are gonna get shaped differently. And I'm not saying that because of that now everyone should race towards being at the top, because that's not very wise either. But I would say that at this point, don't really focus on rendering things and making pretty pictures. Focus on design, because in order to get that particular stuff, a human will have to put very particular words, very particular design decisions, which he can't do if he hasn't learned that. If he doesn't know it, he can't put those words that gives him that result.
Hmm.
But if your strength is that you can render a ball like it looks real, no, then it's going to be difficult.
Mm.
So invest your time in thinking more about design, and try to do things in a way that reflects you based
Mhm.
on things that you have learned. For example, chat all these chat GPT and stuff, where you can type stuff, uh, from talking it from very personal experience. And if I want something based on a story from Bihar, chat GPT doesn't know about it. I If I research something very specific about Mahabharat, which I know about, and probably people have not researched about it, you might not find that much information about it online. AI can't do it yet. Probably it will be, but at this point it's not. So if you're doing the stuff that the rest of the world is doing, probably you will be in danger. But
Mm.
if you dig in towards, okay, what my experience have been, how can I come up with something that uh, is very personal to me, and that design probably world has not seen. If you keep running towards those unique things, I think it will take AI to catch up with that. And I
Mhm.
think your design will get better and unique compared to what's happening rest of the world. I think that's happening even in India, that I see most of the students, they look at stuff online, just famous 10, 15 concept artists, and they try to do that. You will be 5 years from now, you will be probably get renders like those, which AI will be able to do. but I think it gives us a really good time to dig deeper and see what unique stuff you can bring to the world compared to copying
Mm-hmm.
someone else's stuff.
Mm. Um, Something you mentioned is a moment ago as well, like and earlier on about students and just obviously we were both students and putting
Hmm.
yourself in that back to that headspace.
Yes.
I when I was doing my education, internet wasn't what it is today. Concept
Yeah.
art wasn't what it is today. So there was no vast library of evidence of what it takes to be a concept artist and what a high quality level
Yeah.
of concept artist is. Obviously, Sid Mead existed and Feng Shui existed and there were still
Hmm.
icons
Hmm.
around. But
Hmm.
it was a case of you were measured more so on your craft, like you said, your design thinking, what you can solve, what you can achieve, what you can bring to the table. And they definitely, and for obvious reasons, and it's normal for human reasons as well, where when like you said, there's like a top 10 and it's quite clear what it is, you just try and emulate that initially, like all kids when they're growing up, they
Yes.
emulate before they have their own voice. And I
Hmm.
guess it's part of being an artist as well. Like you're in the emulation phase, then you really understand what it is. Okay, this is the equation, or this is how I use it, and then you start either breaking the rules and do your own thing or hone down even more. What was it like for you? Like, did you find that you were basing yourself off artists and other existing professionals, or were you more on the hunt for your own thing as a
N-
student?
No, I think, like you rightly said, like as students, we all look up to artists and try to emulate, learn from them, and it was the same for me. I think and I kept doing that for years and years, and that's how I got better. So that as students, that's definitely normal. The artists that you look up to, you look at their work, you want your work to look you want to learn stuff from their work, and you want to include that, and you want to keep getting better that way. That's completely normal. But at one point, say when you have reached a point where you are able to communicate what you want, if you're able to design that character, design that environment, design that prop, whatever you want, and you are able to communicate that efficiently uh, and effectively, start thinking, okay, how can I make it different from what's happening with the rest of the world? And
Mm-hmm.
it's again, it's like a search. And the moment you start putting your head into that direction, you will find something. In
Mm-hmm.
in uh, in India, there's, and I probably won't be able to translate it in English that well. Is that uh, if you look for God, you will find even God. So if you are looking for that unique voice, why won't you find it? Right? So once you feel that you are at a position where you are able to, and concept art is, it's it's not about good renders, it's not about good painting pretty pictures, it's about communication. And when you feel you are doing really good at it, and it's pretty much at industry standard, then you keep looking for that unique voice. And many artists are doing stuff like that. That's why we get so many unique stuff around the world. For example, uh, you what was that series, Love and Robots, something like that.
Yes, yes,
Yes. So in
yep.
that you get so many unique stuff, right? Because people they dug inside themselves, try to come up with stuff based on their learnings and their experiences. And the Spider-Man movie, the colorful one, all that stuff, all that is happening because people wanted to do things different. They are all good artists. They could have
Mm.
done
Yes, yes,
the
yes,
stuff that everyone else is doing around the world. But once you reach that point, you try to give something to the world, give something back to the world based on how your life has been to this point. And I think that way will probably make, as artists, will make this world a little bit more prettier, good to look at, more entertaining. And yeah, I think that's how we can go forward.
yes. I mean, like the history of art and artists is way beyond obviously just the I guess the let's say 20, 30 years the content art
Mm,
industry's been around,
yeah,
or as long as the film industry's been around, as you mentioned, like with your grandfather and your father, like art, and obviously in other ages for history as well, like art wasn't there for, I guess, like just to not to cheapen what we do, but more for indulgence. It was more for like it had a specific application,
yeah,
either it's spiritual or religious or whatever it might be, or for rich clients, all that kind of stuff. just the craft of it. Like it's got a long history. So just assuming like doom and gloom, let's say let's go in that headspace, and
Mm,
AI is going to eliminate that. It'd be
mm,
very odd for an extinction of that to happen abruptly, and what it would shape the world like
yeah.
it's needed. I like how you explained as well, like at the beginning when you said artists, and immediately it was that's your catch-all phrase for not just drawers and painters, musicians and everything
Mm,
as well. Like
mm,
artists, either like the way I look at it is more like it's just it's one of the consequences of a human journey. Like it just
yes.
manifests itself in art. For others, it manifests differently as well, but it's one
Mm,
of the aspects of what makes us human. So if you eliminate that, what does that do?
mm,
Or the way I like to think about it is, and maybe it's being quite utopian and being maybe hopeful or whatever, but it's like it's part of human nature, and
yes.
humans are very there's many great aspects and many negative aspects as well, but survival is one of them, and we don't like to lose things we don't want to lose.
Mm,
So they tend to stay. We also love indulging as well, and art does end up in indulgence phase also,
mm,
and that's something we don't want to lose also. So yeah, like I have no point with that. I just wanted to get that out there.
mm, mm, mm.
Um, but for yourself, I guess before we get to this question, I want to ask more about your career.
Yes.
So when did your career particularly begin as a concept artist, and
Mm.
what's that journey been like since?
So once I was when I was in college, I wanted to be a concept artist. At that point, I got enough exposure. I knew what this field is, but my career didn't start the smooth way. Um, like I said, the college that I joined, it wasn't performing well financially, and the fees was still a lot for my family. So at that point, I was like, okay, even though I'm doing really well, I'm getting yearly scholarships. I'm say at top of my class, but compared to the rest of the world, I'm still not there. And I think then a guy named Dilip Singh, I I might be spelling his name wrong. He came to class. He looked at stuff, our stuff, and this is students at a really good institute. Okay, they're paying a lot of fee for it. He looked at our stuff and he showed us what the rest of the world is doing. And he's like, if you guys are gonna be concept artists tomorrow, I would suggest you better start a pan shop. I know, and you probably know what a pan is. You probably take you. It's better you don't go to the concept art field because you will destroy the concept art gene pool. And it like it shook everyone. Everyone took it differently. For me, it changed me in a way that okay, that's true. Whatever he has showed me, I'm nowhere that level. How do I reach there? Right, because I'm not learning those stuff in college because the college wasn't performing well, trainers were leaving, and there were my friends, they wanted to still stay in the college for a degree. And I was like, okay, if I have that degree and I'm not at that skill level, I'll probably not be good at it, not be happy with it. So then I thought, okay, I'll have to learn with good people. And at that time, Aditya Chari, he's really good at human anatomy, he came to our college for uh, giving mentorship, not mentorship. Yeah, it was kind of a special class, and he noticed that this student is doing well, right? And he was working at Moonfrog at that point. Moonfrog was a mobile game develop. It still is. It develops mobile games, but he was working there. His skill level was it's it was I mean, it's at a very different level. That's place itself probably doesn't do justice to his art. But at that time, okay, if I learn from this guy, all my fundamentals are gonna be clear. I'm gonna be really good at human anatomy. So then I decided, okay, I'm gonna quit college, and it was a big surprise from my trainers. But like I said, once when you're doing good at your stuff, people you people observe you as well. And when they asked me, why do you want to leave, they they notice then I told them my concern, and then they helped me get into that place. My trainers from
Hmm.
college and Aditya Chari there, who was working at Moonfrog, because they both saw me work. They knew that I'm passionate about it, and I really thank all my trainers for it. That they made my initial journey a bit uh, easier. I went there,
Hmm.
and the stuff that people were doing that, it was still very easy, because I had learned many things at that point, and they were still doing small games. But I met many good people there. Like from Adityachari, I was learning, say, 5 or 10 minutes before the college, before office starts. I used to go back home, practice till late night, whatever he taught me. Next day, I used to show that to him, and that was, say, that kind of work, like a final college stuff for me. And I learned a lot during that time. The moment I felt that, okay, I'm good at it, but I'm still not there. I was doing many mobile games, but I wanted to do AAA games, right? I think that's the time when many of the first few Learn Squad courses started coming up, and
Mm-hmm.
Aaron Lemanick's course was one of them. As I was there in the first batch, uh,
Yep.
and I was, even at that point, I wasn't very confident painting stuff, like sketching things digitally. I was able to do stuff, creates things using shapes, but if I had to make really fluid lines digitally, I wasn't good at it. And that sketching anything course, I thought, okay, I really want to do it. And um, at that time, when you start, your salary isn't that great, right? But I thought, okay, how can I do that? How can I get this course? And it was a mentorship, so it was still, uh, it was a good decent amount for us at that time. So um, uh, during the next negotiation with my office, I said, okay, if you can't give me a good hike beyond what you have already given, why don't you pay for this course? And they did that. And because it was much easier for them to do that, it's for them, it's like spending 35,000 INR or 70,000 INR, and
Mm-hmm.
it's cheaper compared to giving you a hike for an entire year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And for me, that, so it was beneficial for both sides. I took that course. I started learning with Aaron, and I remember that one conversation with him. Uh, so, and yeah, I worked my ass off at that time, and he noticed it. And then, uh, probably in the fourth lesson or something, he asked me, "How do you feel?" And I said that I didn't think that I was capable of doing stuff like this. And he told me that you are underestimating yourself. You don't know what you can do once you are working with a really good art director, right? And that rung something. I'm like, okay, there's a professional who is believing in me more than what I believe in myself. Probably there's wisdom in his words. Let's act on it. Then I thought, okay, how can I take that path? I want to work with people who have worked in AAA games. I want to work with good art directors. So based on the things that I learned back in his class, I started preparing portfolio pieces like those sketches, environment design, deconstructed sketches, and people started noticing. That's when I got a call from Ubisoft India at that time, and they were like, "Okay, we are developing some stuff. It's very similar to what you have in your portfolio. Would you be willing to work?" I didn't want to show my excitement. I was like, yeah, definitely, I'm up for it. And I was surprised that they thought so highly of my work when I wasn't that confident. Um, and like, I think my first email ID was something like Prince of Persia something something, right? So when I thought, okay, I'm getting into Ubisoft, that was a really big thing for me. So I actually went there at a pretty much same salary, but I joined that place, and that's when that leap happened, right? Because I was like what Aaron Lemanick said, is the moment I was working with people at Singapore, working on Skull and Bones, which I think everyone knows, it's the game has released. It was so full of really good artists, and I kept learning at a very good pace. And other than that, there was Prince of Persia in development, and the team was very passionate. There were so many good artists to talk to and learn from. We did really good stuff. I think these projects are the one that we can talk about. But normally in AAA studio, there are many projects that are under development, and you get to work the in one project during the initial phase, mid phase, and the end phase, and the experiences are very different. In those 4.5 years, I learned so much that uh, after that everything started feeling easy, right?
Mm.
And I at that point realized that okay, making a mark at Ubisoft is gonna be a tough task compared to what my experience has been so far. So before Moonfog, I was also working for June, which for a small period of time, and wherever I went, I worked hard, I made a name, and then I was get able to negotiate stuff that I wanted to get, for example, art courses and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
I felt okay, Ubisoft is a really big place for a very small fish like me, but I still want to do good. I still want to be recognized. I
Mm-hmm.
worked really hard with a very good concept artist friend of mine, and eventually we got there. We had that name in the studio. People in the Singapore studio knew us, um, and because of that, we got into touch with more artists. So in Ubisoft and probably other studios as well, you are in touch with all other studios. If you need help, they help you with it. And I also got the chance to talk to Jeff Simpson, who was a big inspiration for me at that time, and all that stuff kept motivating me more and more and more to do better stuff, and that's how I think my entire Ubisoft journey was, and I really didn't want to leave at that uh, 2 years from today. That's when Ian and Shruti, they approached me, the company that I'm working for now, Nodding Head Games, and they were my trainers
Mm-hmm.
at DSK. So, and they are doing some really good stuff in India, trying to make. They made Raji, an ancient epic. It's a uh, famous Indian game, and they are trying to do much better in this in their upcoming title. Um, and they approached me, and I didn't want to leave, right? Because I like you might have observed, I want to learn and learn and learn and learn and learn from as many artists as I can. So that was something that was really good at Ubisoft. Um, but then I had this inclination for doing Indian stuff related to Indian mythology, which these guys were doing. And after several negotiations and stuff, I was like, okay, I'll also get to exercise stuff that I've learned in these many years, which is I'm already close to 10 years in the industry, which is quite a lot of time. I thought, okay, I'll get to exercise all the stuff that I've learned. I can take decisions based on that and see how those shape up, and that will be a new form of learning for me. That's when I thought, okay, even if it's not, say, the really ideal decision, but there were many good things about the new company that I was going to join. So I joined these guys, and yeah, I'm doing well here. I think we are creating great stuff, which, like I said, I wouldn't have been able to do if I was staying at Ubisoft. So again, there was a tough decision, but you have to take it, and there are
Mm-hmm.
consequences, good and bad. You you focus on the good stuff, and you keep improving using it. So yeah, I think that has been my career so far. But
Sick.
all during all this time, I was also doing many. I think most of my online stuff are metal music posters and stuff. Those are the people that contacted me during all these 9 or 10 years, and I kept doing stuff for them as well, and books and stuff. But and the main purpose of that was I'll get to learn from them as well. And whenever a client comes, he comes up with some inspirations of his own. He has a different way of thinking that he presents to you. You observe some stuff out of it. So there has been many instances when I learned something from a small music album cover, which was helpful for me during my work at Ubisoft. So
Yes.
you don't close any direction. Knowledge can come from any side, and you have to be receptive for it. So yeah.
Now, amazing, an amazing career journey by the sounds of it, and obviously, like you said before and throughout the episode as well, like the journey is obviously never straightforward.
Hmm.
Even a natural journey, like there's never a smooth road. There's always bumps. There's always like potholes and all sorts of stuff.
Yes.
But at least you can get to the destination you're going to go to. So I guess like looking forward, although it's impossible to. But like, do you have any overall vision for your career and your art journey?
Yes. I like I said, I have this feeling that every artist should be able to create stuff based on their own experiences and learnings. And I don't think anyone else, no matter how good their intentions are, uh, every person's experiences are different. So the work that I'm doing, it's really great. uh, I think it's very similar to what I want to do, but eventually down the line, I want to create things based on my personal experiences, the story that I have heard when I was growing up. So maybe some project based on that, probably some video games. I don't know. It's uh, it might be far, or maybe who knows? Maybe the company that I'm working on, maybe I get to do stuff like that here. But eventually, I want to create video games based on Indian mythology and the stories, the folklore that I heard growing up. Um, I would like to work on projects of my own in the future, and once I'm done that, I'll probably be satisfied with the industry. Then I can probably go back home, spend time with my family, and do stuff in my own time, paint stuff that I want to do, and probably, yeah, end my life that way,
Sick.
doing the stuff that I want to
Sick.
do. Yeah,
I like how you're almost thinking like almost about retirement as well.
yeah,
Like at that age, that's something that I think about not constantly, but it's something that I try and strategize. It's part of my conversation with myself. Like, when the time comes, like, what's it going to be like in the last chapter of your life and all
yes,
that kind of stuff as well. So it's refreshing to hear that as well. Like, I speak to some people and that that's the conversation they don't want to have, and I understand why.
hmm,
But for me, it just seems logical to want to
yes,
do that and have like almost your retirement plan figured out. Obviously, retirement plan normally is like a financial thing, like how much money you're going to have
hmm,
and you can chill. It's more, I guess, for creators, more about what's that thing I'm going to chill doing. Like when I chill, what am I going to be doing? And that's what that is. Throughout your journey and obviously throughout your career, like one thing that stood out a lot rather, is your connection with other artists, your appreciation of them, and your relationship with people. Um, where does that come from? Is that like your personality? Because I know like some people just naturally gravitate towards people, like having conversations. But also it is a skill in itself to cultivate that. Also, either to propel yourself, or just to propel others, or just generally just to navigate any kind of like creative situation or professional situation.
hmm,
So, what's it like dealing with other artists and other creatives? Like, is that something that you enjoy, or is it just
hmm,
a natural consequence of your personality?
hmm. I think growing up, the first thing that every artist develops is there's a sense of competition, right? As a student, you want to be good. Probably there are people thinking, I want to be the best artist in the world, and that's common. It That thought most of the people have in their mind. But as you keep growing, you start feeling that cooperation is better than competition. And if you are learning from your own personal mistakes, you will have to make many mistakes to be really wise. But your friend, the concept artist that you are working with, he has his own sets of mistakes, his own sets of learning. If you're cooperating, you might be going slower today, but you will get much farther, and you will be wiser quicker. So if you are just so it's always good that you cultivate this habit of supporting each other and appreciate. I think one thing that all artists have is this feeling that I'm not that good. I did something and okay, it didn't turn out that well. You have this frustration, and that every artist goes through. You support him during that time. You say, "Man, your work looks so awesome," and he probably doesn't think about it, think about his work that way, right? But he's like, "Okay, if Harsh is saying that he himself is a good artist, okay, he saw something that I didn't, and that motivates him, right?" And if you keep doing that, thinking about competing with that person, you actually try to compliment him. You keep doing that. That sense of competition is completely gone. Now he's just a friend who is doing good. You support him emotionally during times when he is down, on even when he is not so sure about his stuff, and he will do the same. Uh, if you want to learn something, you guys can do together. And the more you invest in that, I feel that you grow as a person, and you learn a lot of stuff from other people as well. They are also helpful. They also want to give you support when you are down, or when they find something. Hey, I found this course. This has really helped me. Harsh, why don't you try it? And that way, in the long run, you learn things much faster compared to thinking, how do I compete? There's a one really famous story in Mahabharat about Arjun and Karn. I know not everyone might be aware of it. They were really good archers, and Arjun was the one who was favored by Lord Krishna. And so during the time of death, Karn, who is like he is considered hero in by many Indians. He was a really good archer, learned from really good people. But when he was discussing what did I do wrong, I worked so hard. Why do people still look up to Arjun and not me? Right? Why am I dying like this? And all those questions. So Krishna says that knowledge is is like a behavior of your soul, right? That knowledge is already there. Your hard work is hard because you were competing, right? You kind of made it a competition, which was just a search. You made it a competition. You made it harder for yourself, right? He wasn't doing that. He was focusing more on his work. So if you're always thinking about getting better, doing better than someone else, it's always going to be hard work, which could have been a very smooth, friendly ride ahead, right? And yeah, like because I grew up listening to stories like this when I was growing up, that kind of shaped my personality a bit as well. So it
Mm.
was a mixture of both: the way I grew up with such a loving and caring family, and my learnings on the way. So
Hmm.
most of the competitors uh, whom I used to think I'm competing with them, now all of them are my friends. I'm helping them, they are helping me, and we are all growing together.
Wow. You mentioned obviously your time learning with Aaron Lamonic.
Hmm.
See, everyone knows if they're not familiar, check out Aaron Lamonic. He's absolute creative badass. One thing I love about Aaron is, aside from his skills, the way he communicates. But you mentioned obviously during your time is that you didn't have that particular confidence in yourself, or that I guess view in your work or the quality of it. What's your view on your work now?
Oh, yeah, I think whatever I wasn't confident about back then, now I'm decent at it. I
Cool.
think you need to meet people like these. You need to listen to people outside your small circle, outside your well, and that changes your life. Like I said, that would have never happened if I was just putting my head down and sketching. I took that initiative, tried to make things work, get that course, talk to that guy. He told me he was obviously teachers are same for everyone. They want to give knowledge to everyone. But if you are really focused on learning, that he probably his one or two sentence gave me something in my head, and that like directed my journey in a particular direction. So yeah, uh, I I'm at a loss of words with this, but I think that particular course and meeting him, and he's such an awesome artist himself, and he's a really good mentor. I know he's not doing live mentorships anymore, but using this platform that I've got, I would like to say thank you, Aaron. That yeah.
Now, and I think it's quite powerful as well, like you just mentioned, is yes, like any artist will know, especially like when you're doing it as long as we have, that you lose count very quickly how many hours you put into these things
Hmm.
and how much information that's passed through your brain into your hands and into the canvases that you're working on. However, like you just said as well, there's always sometimes all it takes is a few sentences, a few words that are really just like pierce through everything and either hammer down a lesson or really change your course into a better direction. And I think that's something to pay attention to as well. Like, not everything that you need to know has to be like in volumes of like text and
Yes.
tutorials and everything else as well. Like sometimes it's just like Aaron, for example, obviously, like was people like that to look up to as well. Like just tap into their experience. They've been there, they've done that, and they can summarize all of that, compress it into a few words, and
Hmm.
that'll make a big difference.
Hmm. I think another thing that happened during his course that even after the fourth lesson, uh, he said that I'm giving you a lot of information which might not be useful now, or maybe you won't be able to master it right now. It might be helpful for you later. And even though he was happy with my work, he said that okay, still feels stiff, right? Still, if you can loosen up a bit, like another student, I think that is when you will get it. And that I could have been happy with that, but because he said that, I was always trying to find that. Okay, what's that looseness that he's talking about,
Yes.
right? And because I
Yes.
was constantly thinking about it, uh, I, s- whenever I was doing concepts even at Ubisoft after that, what I was doing was good. People were happy. People in the company were happy, but I was like, okay, there's still something missing that Aaron
Mm.
pointed out, right? I need to get that, and that happened to me when I was mentally very tired. Like I said, knowledge and inspiration can come at you at any time from any direction. It happened to me when I was completely drained, exhausted. My mind wasn't thinking about the concept and everything, wasn't thinking about how good the render is. I was just like, okay, I need to get this thing done, let's sketch it out. And when I was doing that, I realized I'm not that conscious of my sketch anymore, and that's when that looseness came to my work, and I'm like, oh, this is what Aaron was talking about. And
Yes.
when I
Yes.
realized, okay, this is this that eureka moment, it stayed with me for the from that point onwards.
Oh, amazing. And yeah, there's like it's one of those where you think you do it and you think, oh yes, finally, but then you think back and thinking, why did that not come to me earlier? And like you said, sometimes it's either going to come to you for whatever circumstances it takes, whatever combination of things need to happen or
Hmm.
events that need to happen in sequence, then it will happen. But I think it's also important as well, like art is a journey. You always keep walking that journey. The moment you
Hmm.
pause, that journey
Yes.
stops until you
Yes.
continue it again or you never continue it. And
Yes.
even then, like maybe you're only one step away from getting that epiphany,
Exactly.
because
Yeah.
like you said, like these teachings are invisible, so you can't see the signposts, but
Hmm.
there are
Hmm.
certain milestones in your journey, so you have to pass it and then it appears, or all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think that's also true as well. Like we've all been there where you're at a point where you're thinking, okay, and I know exactly what you're saying when you like that mental exhaustion and in that mental state where like your brain almost feels empty, like
Hmm.
everything's just flushed out.
Hmm.
And because it's like you're just so tired, and then all of a sudden there's a little dot that appears that says light, and then that's a bit of knowledge or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, like just in a safe way, because we both spoke about like being burnt out and almost hitting a brick wall physically as well. Do it in a safe way, take breaks, but taking a break doesn't mean stopping, and that's the
Yes.
key thing. Like
Yeah.
continue.
Hmm.
I'd love to know. Obviously, you mentioned it a bit before, and I guess there's a final point before we wrap up. Is you mentioned about your inspirations, and one of them was gaming. I'd love to
Hmm.
know, like, particularly what inspired you growing up. What kind of existing pieces of art or literature, or whatever else, influenced you also? Because art is a journey, but we're also beings that are very, very heavily influenced to the point where that influence can really set in stone your trajectory of what you're going to be as an artist. So I'd love to
Yes.
know what that was for yourself.
So if I talk about artists who inspired my journey, it would definitely be, say, Ruanzia. He was some guy that I really looked up to when I was in college, and I wanted to be like him. If you look at very old stuff of mine, you will see similarity in colors, in values. When I uh, so, like going forward, then I started looking at Mashi Kuchiyara because he was really good. He still is one of the best one in the game. And then I was also looking at many old masters because like I said, my background was very traditional. So whenever I got time, I looked at people who were probably the very first ones in the industry, and people who were really good at good traditional artists. So you had from industry, you have Craig Mullins and Frank Frazetta. If you look at old masters, we definitely know we know Leonardo da Vinci, and the, I think I always used to go back to old paintings and doing master studies of them, and that was what initially helped me with getting my values right and sense of lighting. Um, but other than the artists, I also feel many stories helped my journey. The story that the folklores, the story that I heard growing up from my parents, from my relatives, the story that I read. Like I said, my house was full of religious books, and I was alone at that time. I didn't have many cousins to play with, so I was reading those stuff, and those stories uh, inspired a lot of my work, and they still do. Other than stories, this I think experiences in your life, they motivate you as well. They sometimes music can inspire your art, right? Maybe things that happen in your life, they act as inspirations, and they act as motivators, and that will keep you awake at night, and will uh, you will keep working because of it. um, I think, yeah. And as going like when you're in the industry, you keep looking at what other people are referring to. Hey, look at this artist's work, he's so good. And there are so many names that we can't probably put into a small video. But whenever I saw someone's work that inspired me in some way, I always try to figure out, okay, what is that particular thing that I like about his work. That's one point. What is different, what makes him different compared to the rest, and how can I learn that? And then I used to put a bit of focus into that direction, and that inspired me, that improved me.
Awesome. Harsh, it's been amazing chatting with you. We need to wrap up,
Likewise.
but before we end, any final words and thoughts from yourself to the listeners?
Fine. I think this is saying that uh, I believe at this point in my life is that aim high, okay, be brave, be bold, and mighty forces will come to your aid. You focus on your work, you keep doing good at it, and even if things are get going wrong, because you were really honest with your work, like how my mentors helped me, how my friends and students and everyone helped me during my journey. I That was completely unexpected, right? Because I was true to my work, those things happened. So be brave, aim high, be bold, and mighty things will come to your aid. I think, yeah.
Amazing. Thanks so much. Big thanks to Harsh for joining and sharing his journey and wisdom. Hit the links to see what he's up to, then head to learnsquared.com and start your journey today. I've been your host, Aaron Danda. Till next time.